President Trump said many times on the campaign trail he could end the war in Ukraine in one day, and he spent a good part of this day working on it.
He started with a phone call to Russian President Vladimir Putin. They agreed to begin negotiations on ending the war and to meet in person for the first time since Mr. Trump's first term.
President Trump then called Ukrainian President Zelensky to inform him about his talks with Putin.
It's been a day of rapid developments as we approach the third anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Weijia Jiang is at the White House. And Weijia, for a president elected largely on the domestic issues, this is his second major foreign policy move after his proposal to seize Gaza.
Well, John, what's notable about this conversation and negotiations between Trump and Putin is that it upends 3 years of U.S. policy on the war in Ukraine. President Biden refused to speak to Putin after Russia invaded Ukraine back in February 2022. Now Trump says the two leaders have agreed to work together very closely.
An overnight missile attack sparked fires across Kyiv and prompted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to declare Putin is not preparing for peace. He continues to kill Ukrainians and destroy cities. Just hours later, President Trump revealed he and Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke by phone for over an hour and agreed to immediately start negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. They also agreed to meet in person in Saudi Arabia. In the Oval Office, we learned who won't be there.
So it sounds like that would just be a meeting between you and Putin and perhaps the Crown Prince, but not President Zelensky?
Probably we'll have a first meeting, and then we'll see what we can do about the second meeting.
Trump's announcement to work with Putin came on the heels of Moscow releasing an American hostage.
President Trump is a hero.
Last night, Pennsylvania schoolteacher Mark Fogel was back on U.S. soil after being detained for over 3 years. He was arrested for marijuana possession. In exchange, the U.S. freed a Russian cyber criminal.
Was that conversation with Putin to start these negotiations part of the deal to bring Fogel home?
No, but it was a nice thing that he allowed Mark Fogel to leave.
Trump often touts his strong relationship with Putin, infamous for killing or imprisoning his rivals during his 25-year rule. Now, the U.S. is also reversing its policy on supporting NATO membership for Ukraine post-war and said the country would likely have to cede territory to Russia, like Crimea, which was annexed in 2014. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
Zelensky is set to meet with Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Friday at a security conference in Germany. Today, President Trump said he would think about going to Ukraine to meet with Zelensky, but has not committed.
And Weijia, our Holly Williams recently reported from Ukraine. She found Ukrainians exhausted by the war, but still pretty resolute. Zelensky, of course, is under all kinds of pressure. How did the call between Trump and Zelensky go today?
Well, Zelensky described the conversation he had with Trump on the phone as meaningful, and he expressed optimism that the U.S. could help broker a peace deal. He also added that Trump shared the details of his conversation with Putin, and it's those details that really matter because we don't have insight into under what conditions this war is actually going to end. But we do know that Trump mentioned today several times that Zelensky does face that pressure and could be up for re-election.
Weijia, as you suggested in your question in the Oval Office, it feels like Ukraine's getting pushed out of this deal.
Well, the administration has already said publicly that they do not believe the two things that Ukraine really wants, which is to join NATO after the war and to overtake some of the land that was annexed by Russia, are probably off the table, John. And so that's why Democrats are sounding the alarm, saying that this sort of public negotiation already puts Ukraine at a disadvantage.